Hello, I'm Susan Box, Director of the Safety Claims and Risk for the Navy Exchange Service Command. Crisis management is one of my favorite courses in the Control of Risk program because a crisis can mean so many different things to different companies. The important part is being sure you are prepared as best as you can be to handle the crisis. This course will help you create a plan that works for you and your organization. Knowing the characteristics, potential impacts a crisis may have on your organization, and the phases of a crisis are all in the cornerstone of creating an effective crisis management plan. As a company, we have planned and practiced and set up a comprehensive risk management program that will minimize the operational and financial impact of a crisis. Most of our locations are along the coastline, so storms are a huge threat for us. So, what really happens when a hurricane is heading towards the coastline, threatening any of our locations? We have both retail stores as well as hospitality locations to worry about. But the real issue comes in when that same hurricane threatens to impact Virginia Beach, where we are headquartered. Why is that an issue? Well, the storm that is threatening the coast of Florida could impact just a single location, or it could impact many. But if that same storm makes its way up the coast to Virginia Beach, that could potentially impact our entire enterprise. To ensure that we have as minimal impact as possible, we have a plan in place well before hurricane season arrives that has been communicated, and in addition, we've practiced for that event in tabletop exercises. So, as a result of our prior planning, we always have the right people in place to ensure that we will have adequate resources allocated and ready to go as the storm passes. Our crisis action team will stand up when we know a storm may have a severe impact to any of our locations. This team is made up of decision makers from all areas of the company. This is to ensure that the plans that we do have in place can be executed in a timely manner. Do we need more water in a location, extra generators, or batteries? Will we have our gas stations fueled up prior to the roads shutting down? Are we able to house essential personnel in our lodges if necessary? The members of our CAT team will be able to answer those questions and make sure those needs are met. Prior to the storm hitting, we want to ensure that our associates have done what they need to do to protect our facilities and inventories. Then, that they're able to get home and do what is necessary to keep their family safe. We don't want anyone staying in harm's way. Once the storm hits, we try and stay in contact as much as possible with our leadership in the affected areas. Sometimes that works, and other times not so much. As you know, power and cell phone lines can be unreliable after a storm. Once the event has passed, it's time to get back up and running as soon as possible. We serve the Navy sailors and their families, so it's imperative that we get back in business as soon as possible. This is where our allocated resources come into play. For us, it's also important as well to maintain a positive public image to our customers and the surrounding community during this time. So we make sure that we communicate our plan of action for opening and keep updating that plan of action as long as necessary out to the community. After the event, and once we are back up and running again, we make sure to take the time to review our plan and make changes as necessary for any future events. There are always lessons learned during a crisis, and it's important to communicate those back to your team as well. This is just one example as to how we have identified a potential crisis for our organization and then worked through the steps to create an effective crisis management plan and practice that plan to make sure that we are ready. Once you complete this course, go back to your organization armed with what you have learned and work your way through that process. You will be ready to handle any crisis that comes your way.